The alien soldiers, towering and formidable, stood ready for their mission. They belonged to a species known across the galaxy for its prowess in war, unmatched in strategy and strength. Combat was their way of life, and this time, their mission seemed almost beneath them. They had been dispatched to deal with humans, a species they viewed as primitive, undeveloped, and unworthy of serious concern. Their briefing had been brief and dismissive. Humans were savages, struggling with outdated tactics and crude weapons. Nothing in the intelligence reports suggested that the battle ahead would be more than routine. Humans, one soldier scoffed, his voice full of contempt. Why even bother sending us? A single drone could wipe them out. The commander, though more experienced, offered no disagreement. Confidence was woven into their very nature. They had conquered worlds, and now they would add humanity to their list of defeated species. To them, this was just another mission, a quick strike against a lesser opponent. As the alien craft descended toward the battlefield, the soldiers got their first glimpse of the human forces below. The planet's surface was rugged, its terrain full of obstacles that would have hindered their own movements if not for the superior technology they possessed. They scanned the human soldiers with their advanced optics, noting the patchwork armor, the seemingly outdated firearms, and the way the humans moved, disorganized, chaotic, lacking any clear formation. Pathetic, one soldier sneered, adjusting his weapon with casual ease. They don't even know how to defend themselves. The others chuckled in agreement. From their vantage point, the humans were a far cry from the well-drilled soldiers of their own kind. The humans moved with an odd fluidity, breaking into smaller groups, using cover erratically, and seemingly improvising their movements. To the aliens, it looked like panic, like the humans were reacting out of fear rather than following any kind of strategy. Their crude armor glinted under the dull light, reinforcing the aliens' belief that this would be over quickly. "We'll be done here in no time," one of the alien soldiers muttered, preparing to engage. "Let's show these savages what real warriors look like." The alien soldiers dropped into position, confident in their superiority. They fired the first shots, their weapons slicing through the air with deadly precision. Human soldiers scattered, diving behind cover, returning fire in short bursts. It was clear, even to the aliens, that the humans lacked the sophisticated energy weapons their own army carried. The humans' projectiles seemed laughably primitive, incapable of penetrating the alien armor with any real force. But as the skirmish continued, something unexpected happened. The humans didn't retreat. They didn't surrender. Despite being outgunned and outmatched, they fought back with a tenacity that was unsettling. One by one, alien soldiers began to realize that the humans, despite their obvious disadvantages, were not backing down. In fact, they were adapting. They used the terrain to their advantage, moving quickly, their small groups coordinating in ways that weren't immediately obvious but undeniably effective. A moment of hesitation crept into the minds of the alien soldiers. Their initial assault, which should have wiped out the human resistance in minutes, had met resistance, far more than they had anticipated. It was puzzling. These humans were supposed to break under pressure, to falter in the face of overwhelming force. Instead, they kept fighting, their numbers dwindling but their resolve undiminished. "What's wrong with them?" an alien soldier growled, firing another round into the mass of human fighters. "They should have given up by now." The commander, watching from a distance, narrowed his eyes. His soldiers were still confident, still certain of their inevitable victory, but he saw something they didn't. The humans weren't fighting out of desperation, they were fighting with purpose. It was subtle, but there was something in the way they moved, the way they communicated without needing to speak. The humans' tactics weren't disorganized. They were flexible. And that flexibility was allowing them to survive far longer than anyone had expected. "There's something about them," the commander muttered, his voice low enough that only the nearest soldier heard him. "They don't fight like the others." "What do you mean, Commander?" the soldier asked, his voice tinged with amusement. "They're just humans. Weak, unorganized, barely more than animals." The commander shook his head. "No. This is different. Don't underestimate them." But his warning fell on deaf ears. The alien soldiers were too deep in their belief that they were unbeatable, too wrapped up in their own superiority. To them, the humans were nothing more than an inconvenience, an obstacle to be removed from the path of galactic conquest. Their technology, their training, their very existence made them feel untouchable. Yet, as the skirmish continued, the humans kept coming. Each wave of resistance seemed stronger than the last, as though they were learning, adapting to the tactics the alien soldiers had drilled for years. The aliens, so used to crushing their enemies with overwhelming force, began to feel a flicker of doubt. It was a sensation they were unfamiliar with, one that unsettled them in a way they couldn't yet understand. The commander's gaze remained fixed on the battlefield, his expression grim. He had fought in countless wars, and something about this fight felt different. The humans were unpredictable, and unpredictability in war was dangerous. "Mark my words," he said quietly to himself. "These humans are not what we expected." The aliens regrouped, determined to end the human resistance in one decisive strike. Their commanders organized a larger, coordinated attack, with overwhelming numbers and firepower meant to crush any remaining hope of human survival. This was supposed to be quick, clean, and absolute. The alien forces advanced, their precision and technological superiority in full display as they moved in flawless formation, ready to obliterate the humans once and for all. But the humans didn't meet them head-on. Instead, they scattered. Small units broke away, disappearing into the rugged terrain. It wasn't retreat, it was something else. The alien soldiers found themselves facing an enemy that didn't fight like any they had faced before. Human soldiers used the terrain in ways that baffled the aliens, setting traps, launching ambushes from cover, moving through the landscape with a fluidity that made it impossible to predict their next move. What the aliens had first mistaken for disorganization was now proving to be a deliberate, well-adapted strategy. The humans were no longer simply reacting, they were outmaneuvering. The alien soldiers, who had relied so heavily on their advanced weapons and armor, began to realize that their advantages were slipping away. Every time they pushed forward, the humans adapted. They used the environment to even the odds, funneling alien troops into choke points, striking at vulnerable moments, and always staying one step ahead. Alien soldiers, trained to rely on brute force and superior technology, found themselves struggling against an enemy that was unpredictable, constantly shifting tactics to exploit any weakness. "This makes no sense," one alien soldier muttered, scanning the horizon for the next ambush. "They should be crumbling by now. How are they doing this?" The longer the battle dragged on, the more the alien soldiers began to falter. Their coordinated strikes turned into fragmented skirmishes as human resistance became increasingly difficult to pin down. Time passed, and exhaustion crept in. The alien soldiers, conditioned to expect short, decisive encounters, were unprepared for the humans' relentless endurance. The humans didn't just fight, they survived. Even when their numbers were thinned, even when they were outgunned, they kept coming. Injured soldiers still fought with the same intensity, as if their bodies could ignore the pain, pushing past limits the aliens couldn't understand. "We've lost contact with our forward units," a soldier reported, sweat beading on his brow despite the cool armor surrounding him. "The humans are still engaging us. They should have surrendered by now." But the humans didn't surrender. They never did. The aliens, growing desperate, watched in disbelief as human fighters continued to press forward, even when they should have been too exhausted to continue. Human soldiers operated with an unyielding resilience, their faces etched with determination. They didn't tire, they didn't slow, and they never once showed any sign of losing morale. On the battlefield, an alien soldier came face to face with a human. The human was bleeding heavily, his body battered from the relentless combat. By all accounts, he should have been on the ground, defeated. But as the alien soldier raised his weapon to finish the fight, the human lunged forward, eyes burning with an intensity the alien had never seen before. Despite the injury, despite the overwhelming odds, the human kept fighting, driven by something far beyond physical strength. "What is this?" the alien thought, stunned as the human soldier refused to back down, even as his own life hung by a thread. "How can they keep going?" The human sheer willpower defied everything the alien understood about warfare. It wasn't just strategy or tactics that made them dangerous, it was something deeper. They fought with an indomitable will, as though survival wasn't just a matter of winning or losing, but a core instinct. The alien soldier, rattled by the encounter, realized something unsettling. Human strength didn't lie in their weapons or their technology. It was their refusal to break, to give up, to accept defeat, even in the face of impossible odds. The thought gnawed at him, turning admiration into a quiet, growing fear. They don't stop, the alien whispered to himself, the weight of the realization settling in. It's like they don't know how. The turning point came when the alien soldiers, weary and frustrated, began to lose control of the battlefield. Their superior weaponry and armor, once thought to guarantee their victory, were no longer enough. The humans wouldn't stop. They kept pushing forward, their numbers small but their presence overwhelming. For every alien soldier who expected a clear victory, there was now only confusion. How could a species so underdeveloped, so far behind in technological advancement, fight with such power? The commander's earlier warning rang through the minds of the alien troops. There's something about them, he had said, but now they fully understood what he meant. The humans were unlike any enemy they had ever encountered. They didn't fight for glory or power. They fought as if nothing could break them. An alien soldier, watching as the humans continued their advance despite everything, finally admitted what no one had wanted to say. We've never faced anything like this. The realization spread like wildfire among the alien ranks. They weren't fighting a species they could easily dominate. They were facing something far more dangerous, a species that couldn't be broken, no matter the cost. The alien forces, once so certain of their victory, were now cornered. Their ranks had thinned dramatically, their advanced weapons useless in the face of an enemy that refused to quit. The humans, still outnumbered and wielding outdated firearms, pressed the attack with renewed energy. What they lacked in technology, they more than made up for in sheer willpower. The alien soldiers, battered and exhausted, prepared for a desperate final stand. They knew what the humans were capable of now. No longer viewing them as a simple primitive species, the aliens braced for what was coming. The human soldiers fought with an intensity the aliens had never seen. It wasn't just about survival anymore. There was something deeper driving them. Each human seemed to instinctively cover the weaknesses of the soldier next to them, moving as a single, unbroken unit. Despite the lack of sophisticated technology, their coordination was flawless. They anticipated each other's movements, communicated without words, and adjusted to every threat with perfect timing. The aliens had never faced such seamless teamwork, and it shook them to their core. The aliens, used to domination through overwhelming power, were unprepared for this level of commitment. The human soldiers fought not just for themselves, but for each other. Every human who fell seemed to fuel the resolve of the others, and the aliens, though better equipped, began to falter under the relentless assault. For every tactical advantage the aliens had, the humans found a way to negate it, not through technological superiority, but through raw determination. The battle reached its breaking point. The alien soldiers, now exhausted and disoriented, struggled to maintain any semblance of order. Their lines were shattered, their formations in chaos. Even as they inflicted heavy losses on the humans didn't waver. They fought with a fierceness that defied reason. The alien commander, a seasoned warrior, watched in disbelief as his once unbeatable force began to crumble. In the heat of battle, a single human soldier faced the alien commander. The human was wounded, barely able to stand, but something kept him moving forward. The alien commander, weapon raised, hesitated for a moment. That moment cost him everything. The human, fueled by an inner fire the alien could not comprehend, lunged forward and struck the final blow. The alien commander fell, defeated not by superior strength, but by something far more terrifying, human resilience. As the commander's body collapsed, the remaining alien soldiers watched in horror. Their leader had fallen, and with him, so did their confidence. They had underestimated humans at every turn, and now they were paying the price. One by one, the alien soldiers began to retreat, unable to face an enemy that wouldn't break, no matter how overwhelming the odds. "We thought we were the superior species," one alien soldier whispered, stunned as he watched the humans regroup. "But we've never encountered anything like this." In the aftermath, the alien survivors regrouped, their once proud ranks reduced to a fraction of their former numbers. The humans had taken heavy losses, but they had won. The aliens sat in stunned silence, their pride shattered. What had started as an easy conquest had turned into a nightmare they hadn't been prepared for. The humans, with their outdated technology and weaker bodies, had proven themselves the deadliest warriors the aliens had ever faced. "They fight like they've already died once," one alien soldier murmured, still processing what he had witnessed. "Like there's nothing left to lose." That was the key, they realized. It wasn't their weapons or even their strategy that made humans so dangerous. It was their will, an unbreakable force that drove them to fight when all seemed lost. Their ability to endure pain, to adapt to any situation, and to refuse defeat was what made them the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever seen. The humans fought not for glory, not for conquest, but for each other, and that made them unstoppable. As the alien commander, wounded and defeated, issued his final orders, there was no longer any arrogance in his voice. "Stay away from the humans," he commanded, voice low and filled with a newfound fear. "We can't afford to face them again." The aliens withdrew, fully aware of the truth. They hadn't just encountered a new enemy, they had encountered a species that defied everything they knew about warfare. The deadliest warriors in the galaxy weren't defined by their technology or strength. It was their will, their unbreakable spirit, that set them apart. The aliens left, now knowing that the humans were not just another species, they were the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known.